One of the images what we had while designing was there's one person who is sitting in a workstation with his headphones on, as against somebody sitting under a tree with a laptop listening to birds. And then we said, why can't we combine both these elements? You have a choice of either sitting in a workstation and working, or you take your laptop and sit under a tree and work, or have conversation, have outdoor meetings. That's something which really is a key factor in redefining the work environment. I'm architect Sanjay Mohe from Mindspace Architect. Let me take you through the tour of Titan Corporate Office. Visit buildofry.com to access the most detailed architectural case study of this project. This was a limited competition which we won. The best part of this was the client brief. They said you create an elevating experience, and we were wondering how do you create that elevating experience, And they said it has to be a nature campus, ground plus 2-storied low-rise building, surrounded by landscape, water bodies and all that. They said people should intermingle, they should have connection across. That itself gave us a lot of clues. The site was 6.5 acres next to a lake, and there is another lake at a higher level. So what we were trying to do is, visually we are trying to create this continuation of this water.
So this is the main entrance to the campus. Pedestrian movement would happen along this boundary. One has to climb around 2.7 meters to arrive at the central spine. The whole journey is that you come in and then you're in for a surprise where you see the water body and then you see these cascading terraces.
You have a shallow water kept for the firefighting. This is only about 1 foot deep, which is a chlorinated water. This edge was very, very important for us. These are the platforms which really open out into the water. So our biggest challenge was how do you deal with this entire length of 200 meters western side. We were trying to separate it out from the main building so that the heat which comes onto the building doesn't get transferred onto the built mass. We created this series of troughs with greenery. So every 2 meters we have these troughs which allows the breeze to go through, allows the light to come in. Now you have these and all the terraces which are covered with greenery, and what we were trying to do is to create these different cascading terraces and keep the length of the office building almost like within 20 meters so that you get a natural light coming from either from north or from south. In terms of orientation, what we were trying to do is to have this entire mass predominantly towards north and south. The whole idea was to get most undisturbed light coming from the north. In the process, we have created a lot of wind tunnels where you allow the breeze to go through. For us, this gap of 1 meter, which is separating these two blocks, is very, very important. The volume comes down to 4 meters, then it increases, and then you have a movement happening at the upper level as well. The way the light comes in gets reflected off this water onto the whole space makes a tremendous impact. We are always used to seeing light coming from the top, the way you perceive a face, but when you see a reflected light fallen onto the face, the whole ambience changes.
Once you come to the end of the spine, that cascades to the dining block, which happens in 3 levels. The main entry staircase continues further to go to the first floor. This corridor leads to the design office now, which is a management cabin. So if you notice, the false ceiling of this design office beneath is tapered so that visibility from the first floor corridor is unobstructed. So you get that view towards the lake. When it comes to this office space, this 1.5 meters from the glazing line, we made sure that it belongs to everybody. So this interiors was designed by this firm called M. Moser. So right from the beginning, we sort of discussed with them not to have any workstations or any cabins closer to the glazing, because this is almost conceived as a space that belongs to all of them. There was a lot of discussion and debate that we had before arriving at this 2 and 3 stage of operative cooling, because the primary idea was to make sure that the people go use the terraces. Any other system, like we explored this radiant cooling system, chill beam system, which required a complete enclosure. It's not exactly an air conditioning, it's an air cooling system where the chilled water runs through the cooling coil and through the evaporative pad, and the conditioned air is thrown into the office area. But here the volume of air is slightly higher than the regular air conditioned system. The air that is pumped in, it gets exhausted from the office area. So there's always this fresh air that gets pumped in. All these offices open out into the terraces. We got the daylight simulation done for this entire office after the design was done. Almost like 80% of the office space is like naturally lit.
Titan has 5 verticals, and we wanted to represent them through atriums. They are all facing in different direction, bringing in different quality of light. You have this entire drum which tapers and goes up. It creates a kind of a suction in terms of letting the hot air to go up. Now we wanted to make that whole experience of climbing up through this atrium space quite interesting. Like a sweeping staircase which is cantilevered. these curved planes which has few openings, finally culminating into the skylight at the top. One of the challenges was when we created these cascading terraces and to have greenery on the top of that. For the larger trees, you need about 1.2 meters of a soil depth. For the normal grass, you need about 1 foot to 400 mm of soil. So the entire section has a combination of different soil depths. We needed a very sophisticated form of waterproofing. How do you take the water down right up to the lower level? We created this space for planting. Under the window or the door, we have dropped this slab to accommodate about 1.1 meter of soil, where you grow taller trees, which happens at every level. And there is a sophisticated system of taking the water down all the way up to the lake. The entire structure is cladded with stone. We managed to get it through different sources, looking at different suppliers and finally getting that right kind of a palette. The flooring again is granite. So next to the water body, next to the double height area, you'll find most of these as rough cobblestones. But as you go away from it, it becomes more, semi-polished with different textures that you use. It's a granite which, right from the rough granite to polished granite and various stages in between, we play with that entire palette. And we always felt that nature is something which is everlasting. And if you work close to the nature, the building ages so gracefully. I mean, we have example of, I Am Bengaluru by Mr. Doshi. You see one of the buildings which ages so gracefully over the time, looks better and better. We would expect something similar to happen to this building. As it ages, it becomes more part of the nature. It becomes a non-building actually, and which I think over the last about 6-7 years now we have started feeling that way. Every time we come here, you see the trees grown up, you start getting filtered views. I mean, now when you compare it with the older structure, it looks so barren without the trees. So that's what we had imagined it to be, and it has started happening, which is a wonderful thing.